Firstly, the court want to apologize for starting this late. Two of our counsels were involved or engaged in the High Court. Yes, we can proceed.
The court pleases. Your Worship, today is the 18th of July 2025 in the Magistrate's Court sitting at JP Karwahe Street in the matter between the State and Immanuel Mulunga and 14 others, case number 854 of 2025. Presiding officer, Mr. Samunzala, for the State, Mili Lungwe, accused 1, 3, 8 and 13, Mr. Bangamavo, accused 2 and 14, Mr. Engelbrecht, accused 5, 6, 7 and 10, Mr. Namanje, and accused 9 and 15, Ms. Gebhardt, and for accused 4, Mr. Kasper.
Please, the court, Your Worship, I confirm my appearance for first, third, and the 8th accused person for this bail application. I'm ready to proceed. Please, the court, Your Worship.
The court pleases. I am accused 2 and 14 as before. As the court pleases.
The court pleases, Your Worship. I continue appearing on behalf of accused number 4. We are equally ready to proceed.
As the court pleases, I continue appearing for accused number 5, 6, and 7, together with my two colleagues, Mr. Gaib and Kazondana. And Your Worship, yesterday I completed leading Mr. Malakia Elindi, and we are ready to proceed, Your Worship.
I confirm my appearance on behalf of accused person number 9 and 15. Your Worship, we are also ready to proceed.
Before we proceed, before we started these proceedings, I informed my colleagues for the accused persons that this morning I was engaged in the High Court on 3 matters, and I think on Monday, the 14th, when we started, I had informed my colleagues that I was indisposed for a period of 2 weeks, and I think if the court would recall, I even submitted my medical certificate to court.
Yes.
Yes. Now, Your Worship, before we started, I then informed my colleague that today I'm not feeling well because of my back problem, which I would not want to go in detail with. And then I had suggested to my colleagues that since accused number 6 is yet to be cross-examined, if we can get the date, well, of course, it's an application to make to court for us to continue, as I'm not feeling well. Your Worship, Ms. Hinda was assisting me, but I was delegated to do this matter. And there was a suggestion from my colleagues strenuously stating that Ms. Hinda is also a prosecutor, she can continue on that basis. But that is not how it works in our office, unfortunately. And I had suggested that we perhaps ask to see you in chambers so that at least we can discuss the matter. But counsel for the accused persons refused. So in short, Your Worship, I'm saying today I'm not in a good position to proceed as I'm unwell, but counsel will address you as they are of the view that we should proceed no matter what. The court pleases.
Your Worship, first of all, we must proceed from the premise that before Your Worship is a bail application. It's not a trial. It's not any other proceedings. These are proceedings in terms whereof, Your Worship, the accused person were brought to court and enough evidence has been placed on record, the circumstances under which they were brought to court, and they are asking in terms of the law that the judiciary
through a lower court, a magistrate, availed by the judiciary in complying with its constitutional duty to determine rights and obligations of citizens, and in a criminal matter to decide whether or not an accused person must be released on bail, accused person made arrangement and specifically asked the court to be availed. Knowing that there may be circumstances that may make it difficult for the counsel for the state and the defense to be available, you would have seen that, for instance, in respect of accused number 5, 6, and 7, there are 3 legal practitioners. In fact, I was unavailable at some point, and one of my junior assisted in the interest of everybody. For the state, counsel Ms. Hinder appeared, and once she appeared on the first day of appearance and placed on record the grounds of objection why our clients are in custody and they were remanded on the first day of appearance, is because Ms. Hinder, with a delegation from the Prosecutor General on behalf of the state, informed the court that the state is not prepared to consider bail without a bail application. Hence, arrangement to avail a magistrate. Then the state deployed 2 senior public prosecutors, my colleague, Mr. Irungwe, and Ms. Hinder, who started these proceedings, Your Worship. And it's on record. I mean, Ms. Hinder is an experienced public prosecutor who has done countless bail application in these proceedings for more than 15 years. So now, I want to remind the court, Your Worship, and I wish to hand up a small booklet. Yes, if you can just hand up that small booklet. I want to remind the court of I just handed up a small book that I have authored in the past called The Law on Liberty, Arrest and Detention in Namibia. And I would respectfully ask the court to turn to page 39 of the booklet. You would see, Your Worship, that the author refers to Hases versus Fosher and others, 1997, volume 1, NR 278, where the court, I do not want, in the interest of time, where the court, the High Court, and this judgment has never been upset, with greatest respect, the court even went on to say, even because of the urgent nature of a bail application, in an urgent application, in fact, the bail application can even proceed without a public prosecutor. An investigating officer could represent the state in bail applications. And now, my colleague is saying, remember he handed up a medical certificate. We do not know for what purposes. If he handed it up to say he is not feeling well and cannot effectively represent the state, then the choice was for the state. We are not being insensitive, Your Worship. In another bail application in this court last year, the same issue arose where a prosecutor who was booked off was deployed in a bail application, and the presiding officer has serious problem with that citizens fund the state to ensure that, amongst others, the executive, and in this case, in the the executive, through the office of the prosecutor general, avail personnel in number sufficient to be available when accused person come to court. If now the choice was that 2 senior public prosecutors are deployed in this court, they are available, which is good. Now, why would we have this matter being postponed? And I am actually surprised that Ms. Hinda, who was here, the whole of this morning, suddenly she's not in court, possibly, and I'm saying this with greatest respect, she's not in court as if she's not available, because she knows we said we will suggest to court that she must cross-examine accused number 6. But now all of a sudden, for the first time, she's not in court. But she was here waiting for my colleague. She's even the one that told us that we are about to start. Mr. Rurungwe is on his way. But nothing was placed on record where she is. I told, it's true, Your Worship, we told our colleague that we sympathize with your circumstances if you are not feeling well. But there is a contradiction in what you are telling us. You said you were at the High Court and you argued 2 other matters. And we have to wait. And the accused person, Your Worship, I have no shame to say this. My clients, 3 as they are out of pocket. The whole time I was sitting here waiting for the state, they are paying, Your Worship, paying 3 legal practitioners, and it's a huge amount of money. And we were waiting. My colleague was effectively arguing. I wonder if in those proceedings he complained about being sick. Did he complain in those before judges of the High Court in the proceedings where he put up an effective fight? Did he complain? Or is it he's only complaining in this matter, Your Worship? So we refused to discuss this serious matter in chamber. We want it to be placed on record. And we told our colleague one thing. Yesterday, Your Worship, you were told about the circumstances of my client in the dock, kids, how they were left by the members of the Namibian police and ACC at home. And Mr. Elindi placed on record his anxiety and apprehension. As there was another senior public prosecutor, accused person can just go back wherever they are in those lice-infested cells. There are reports, public reports about those conditions. In fact, there are judgments that those cells, the conditions are so bad and inhuman. So is he suggesting that the court should be indifferent towards the circumstances of my client's kids, the circumstances of our clients, and rather consider the circumstances of the state where they have 2 senior counsel in court? So we are saying, Your Worship, with the greatest respect, then if my colleague was not feeling well, he was not supposed to be deployed in this court, because they must have considered a risk of disrupting a bail application which is ordinarily urgent in nature, Your Worship. I also want to hand up a judgment of S versus Tiek, and I'm concluding with this judgment. And if you can give my colleague, including the state, Your Worship. Yes, my colleague is also, just to be fair to my colleagues, we even offered that we will not have a problem because my colleague is complaining of his back, that we have no problem for him to, if he wants to cross-examine while seated. If he insists, it's him, not Ms. Hinda. And we are not being insensitive. There are a number of judgments, let me just remind you. But, by the way, that medical certificate, I want to refer the court to the judgment of Hilia Ngiwete versus NASFAF. It's a judgment of the Supreme Court which deals with medical certificates and so forth. Number of cases are referred to. It's not. If the certificate, can I have, I have never seen that certificate. Can I, before I proceed, Your Worship, ask to see the certificate?
Yes.
Before I proceed.
No, I understand, but if I'm correct, the certificate was handed then because he was not well, not for today, because he said he was indisposed before, so he was only assigned to this matter over the weekend.
That's what I'm saying, Your
Yes.
Worship. It would have been another thing if we were told, Your Worship, that today as he woke up, is unable to attend court. Your Worship, if those are the facts, that when he woke up today, he's unable to attend court, is sick, he goes somewhere else, and he must visit a doctor to get medical treatment. But that is not what happened. He went to other court and kept us here. 2 courts, I'm told 2 appeals. And he was communicating with Ms. Hinda, who kept us informed. In fact, Ms. Hinda called me that the matter must start at 11. We were never told that he's not feeling well. So why I was saying that is simply to say, Your Worship, is that you are placed in a very difficult position. Either you then say, prolong the bail application, accused person must go back to those cells without, and the whole day for which they paid legal practitioners, their matter will not proceed, and the consequence of that, many other people's, including their kids and their affairs and businesses, will be affected. Or should you rather sympathize with the state, which has 2 counsel in court, and the other one, apparently that's not what happens internally in their office. The fact of the matter is Ms. Hinda has the title to prosecute. She's the control prosecutor at this court. I do not know why my colleague is saying he prosecutes on the delegate from the prosecutor general. So with greatest respect, we are saying, fine, if my colleague is not feeling well, the other prosecutor must take over, or the state must immediately have somebody else to proceed. So I understand from the court sentiments then that the medical certificate is irrelevant. I therefore did not refer to it. Those are my submissions, Your Worship.
Any other counsel?
Your Worship, I'm going to try to be brief because we need to move. If we're going to proceed, we proceed. If we're not, we shouldn't make long submissions. Your Worship, before you is an application from the bar to postpone these proceedings. That application is on behalf of my client opposed, and I'm opposing that application on behalf of my client for the following reasons. Your Worship, in our jurisdiction, bail is inherently urgent. It means we don't have to prove, we don't have to discuss, we don't have to debate it. It's inherently urgent. So urgent, Your Worship, that we are actually entitled to proceed after hours, not just with a prosecutor or without a prosecutor, but in our jurisdiction, bail is so urgent that you can sit even until 4 o'clock in the morning.
And over weekend.
Mr. Namanje, please.
Can we maintain the court decorum?
Yes, as it pleases you. It's so urgent that we can proceed after hours. So urgent that sometimes magistrates, and I also used to be one, we would go to the police station during weekends to see if we can assist with bail. The reason why it's urgent, it's not because it's nice to say, it's because the right involved is a constitutional right to liberty. That is where it comes from. So someone is not able to go home, someone is not able to move around freely, someone is not able to go to the bathroom that he or she feels they need to use with water that can flush, for example. So I'm bringing it as simple as that. You tie it to the Constitution, that is what makes it urgent. The state in these proceedings, we must, and I've emphasized it at the start of these proceedings, Your Worship, the state is a party. It's not dominus litis. It's a party that can decide to come or not come, and the application will proceed with or without them. If the state decides to bring to this application a person who is not fit to act on its behalf, and then in anticipation, because that is what is being proposed, that proposition is now that I showed you a medical certificate on Monday. So was it in anticipation to say later, if I don't feel well, you should understand? That proposition cannot be correct, and I'm not saying that is what my colleague is saying. The medical certificate was placed on record for purposes of explaining why we should stand the matter down to allow the state to make copies of documents. Documents which, for example, I only received on the Wednesday, not for purposes of anticipating a postponement. The state has many prosecutors, Your Worship. In this matter, we have 2. There are others, more senior ones. Some are also junior. But, Your Worship, this is supposed to be an application that must be assessed on the facts and on the law, taking into account the right that is at stake, and that is the right of liberty. It should not be a demand. None of us can come to these proceedings and say we are not proceeding because of this and this. We must come and ask. It's not for the taking. You ask and you demonstrate the reason why such an application should be granted. And I submit to you, Your Worship, with respect, that application by the state cannot be granted just on the facts that is given. There were 2 matters before the High Court today that Mr. Mulunga argued. He was able to argue those. And that's where I leave it.
Your Worship, I will be very short. On behalf of the first, third, and the 8th accused persons, I'm not going to rehearse or repeat what has been said by Mr. Namandre and my colleague for the 9 accused persons. In making a decision in respect of this application, I would enjoin His Worship to keep in mind Article 5 of the Namibian Constitution, the protection of fundamental rights and freedoms. That article enjoins the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature to respect and uphold fundamental and human rights. As submitted by my colleagues, we are talking about right to personal liberty, but more so about presumption of innocence. Even though bail, the right to apply for bail is not explicit in the Bill of Rights, it's very clear that it must be read from Article 7 as well as Article 11. On that basis, without of course repeating, because we are ready to proceed, we repeat that the application by the state, I don't want to call it obstructive, lacks any merit, and ought to be dismissed, and we are ready to proceed. Please the court, Your Worship.
Your Worship, safe to say that I really do sympathize with my learned friend for the state. I think it's actually unfortunate that he was called upon, given his medical state, to even come and commence these proceedings. And I leave it at that, Your Worship.
Yes. Any response? Yes.
Response, Your Worship. My response will be as follows. In fact, we are actually disappointed by these submissions that have been made by counsel for the accused persons. In fact, from the beginning, there has been some disparaging and subliminal remarks made towards the state. And again, today, out of courtesy, I decided to come here and convey my message to court of my position. But what I'm saying, Your Worship, it is indeed true that I argued matters in the High Court. But what I want to place in context is the following, that those matters are not trial matters where I'm required to stand for way too long. I think I've conveyed that message to court. But what we are saying, I came out of courtesy to my colleagues. In fact, I had informed them before the start of the proceedings to convene outside for us not to be talking in open court, and I had suggested to them to convene to your chambers, a suggestion which was refused. Now, with regard to the submissions made by Mr. Namanje, he is referring you to a book that he authored. Unfortunately, he's trying to prescribe medicine of his own. It's like someone prescribing their own medication to themselves. And I urge the court to take cognizance of that. I would also think that some of the suggestions or remarks made by my colleagues are actually insensitive remarks, because this is a health matter which I would not want to disclose in open court, and I would urge my colleagues to stop playing for the gallery or trying to impress their clients. There was a suggestion that Ms. Hinda can take over these proceedings. Your Worship would recall that Mr. Gaib, in fact, even before we adjourned on the 16th of July, it was suggested that Mr. Gaib would have kind of like a watching brief, if I can call it that, although he was objecting. But the person that was conducting the cross-examination of these proceedings is Mr. Namanje. That's how it makes it different. So it cannot be suggested that, well, because Ms. Hinda was here, then therefore she must take over the proceedings. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And it is also not for counsel to suggest how the state conducts its proceedings. Neither do we decide how they conduct their proceedings. Each party conducts the proceedings how they deem it fit. So it is not for them to suggest to us that, yes, you should do this. No, unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Just to conclude, Your Worship, we are not refusing to do this application. And in any event, we have only dealt with 2 applicants. The second applicant is still on the stand. We are of the view that there is no prejudice that will be suffered there by the accused person in the event that this court decides to grant a postponement. Because in any event, we are on the last day today. We are not saying we don't want to do the application, but I have placed on record reasons why we want to ask for a postponement. And it's not next year, it's not in December, but we are saying the court should allow us an opportunity to conduct these proceedings as fairly as possible and to execute our duty in the best possible manner. So, in short, Your Worship, I'm saying the court should allow this application to proceed on another day. And I have to submit with greatest respect that I'm actually disappointed by the remarks and also the conduct that has been displayed by senior lawyers, if I can call them that, as the court pleases.
Your Worship.
Mr. Namanje, you can only rise on a point of law. Can you just sit down? It's on record.
No,
yes.
May I, it's something else, Your Worship.
Yes.
Your Worship, a suggestion was made.
But you are on record, only on a point of, because you have responded, the state have responded.
Can I just speak, Your Worship? It's not, I'm not making submissions.
Yes,
on
that's
the
why if you are not making on submissions, your submissions you made, counsels are on record.
No, or something that was raised by my colleague, which is not a submission, I'm entitled to say, Your Worship, because he said when we made submission, we made disparaging statements. That's what he said. We never did. We also did not disclose his medical condition. He did himself, Your Worship. And also, secondly, Your Worship, I think, with greatest respect, we committed ourselves yesterday, and we never said anything in breach of our commitment. So to say that when we are standing up for our clients, we are doing it for, I don't even know who are the people sitting behind our clients, that is unfair, Your Worship, and we would have expected that to my colleague to be required to not to start insulting us when we did not do that, Your Worship. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, the matter then stands down until 14 or about 1400 hours. The court will indicate when it's ready. Yes.
Hi there, I'm Wala Bwalia.
And I'm Rusangula. On this season of Property Menu, we'll be taking you on a journey through Windhoek's most desirable suburbs and gated estates.
In each episode, we're diving into a different suburb, showcasing the property types and price ranges, and tell you how you can secure your dream home.
We'll also explore the amenities each suburb has to offer: schools, parks, shopping centers, and many more.
Plus, we're bringing you expert advice on market trends and everything you need to know about buying property.
And don't forget our tips on interior and exterior deco.
The thing about panels and what it does to spaces is that it adds texture, depth, and dimension to your space.
Property Menu is your guide to Namibia's property market.
Catch all the action of Season 2.
Only on NBC2.
Hi, I'm Beulah Boyce-Bierkes, NBC Public Relations Manager, and I enjoy watching NBC Plus at home and on the go. Wanna get some ice cream, Daisy?
This is Touch FM. It's everywhere.
National FM, Prime all the time.
Hardloop FM, leef in Afrikaans.
Ondenga porongo, oishabari pinyi jiheripo, omurari wanjibi firombaranga.
Sie sind bei Funkhaus Namibia. Deutsch gehört, gehört.
Kai samese, aridi halkal ausi.
TYS FM, mamarato aha.
Wato FM, muchima wetu.
Kati FM, kati nkupora pale thingi.
Mwanyi FM, kai ni kai.
Ka radio, konmoro ngisima.
Stay informed and inspired with the Daily Roundup with Nina, your ultimate weekday destination for the latest news, in-depth interviews, and compelling stories from Namibia and around the world. From breaking headlines and expert insights to special features that highlight impactful initiatives, we bring you everything you need.